Well, ladies and germs, it's time to toss a coin to your Witcher. Here is my review for Season 2 of The Witcher, non-spoiler review, thanks to Netflix for giving us the screeners to watch this. On a scale of 1 to 10, how excited are you? Let me know in the comments below, and who are you really looking forward to seeing? Let me know, other than Geralt. But for now, let's jump in. Convinced Yennefer's life was lost at the Battle of Sodden, Geralt of Rivia brings Princess Cirilia to the safest place he knows, his childhood home of Kaer Morhen. I guess it is 8 episodes. Netflix gave us 6 of the hour-long episodes. Yes, there are about an hour, depending on time scale, just a few minutes here and there. I will be doing a full spoiler review once it's out, but for now, here is kind of what to expect. I won't be doing any plot spoilers, because I'm under a massive embargo not to spoil certain things, which I'm not going to do, because I want everybody to enjoy it as much as I have. So now that I've said that, let's push that to the side and get into it. Have you ever watched a series where you are equal parts excited to watch every frame that is on screen, and also equal parts sad because you know that every frame you are watching is coming towards the end of the series? Because it's not a series that has a lot of episodes. It's not one of those CW network series that sometimes outstay their welcome and you have 22 episodes per series. This one has a maximum of 8, season 2. And every morsel you get, you kind of want more, but you do know it's going to come quickly to an end. It's one of those that when the credits come at the end of the episode, you're like, huh, that came fast. Okay, let's click on the next one. My only negativity for season 2, and that's without having seen the last 2 episodes, it definitely feels like it's the middle ground storytelling wise. It feels like it's setting up many future arcs. It is the bigger arc, and Ciri is the focus, or Cirilla, however you want to call her. And so it does feel like at times that the story is setting up these kind of chess pieces, future storyline, plot moments, characters that they're introducing, characters that you probably won't be expecting to be certain characters, because there's obviously the lore to pull from the books, and they're paying homage to the games as well. There's certain things that you'll probably be surprised to have in there, kind of a massive nod to the fans. There's certain moments where I was like, woo, I must have been terrible to watch this series with my wife watch me, because I was like, that's that person, that's what that thing means, and she's like, can you just let me watch it? If you're watching it from a fan perspective, I think you're going to enjoy it. The first season was a bit mixed because of that weird timeline. I think there were 2 camps. People were like, yeah, this is how the first book is. It's in and out of time around it, and you kind of have to piece it together. And then those that came that weren't a fan of the books, or not necessarily just a fan, just fresh to the new IP, they came in thinking, oh, what is this? This is weird. It's all over the place. Coming into the second season, they've done away with that. It's all chronological, so you don't have to worry about that, bar a few kind of flashbacks or movements back to a different character. For the most part, we are following Yennefer, we're following Ciri and Geralt, and it starts at a place. It doesn't pick up where the end of season 1 left off. There's some time's passed, some stuff has happened, and from that synopsis you can glean that, you know, they're a little bit battle worn, and we have to pick up and just kind of figure out what's going on. It does kind of tell you a bit. You are able to glean what has happened very quickly, which I appreciated. Sometimes you need to know, because there's a lot of world building. You think they started it in season 1, but there's a lot more world building in season 2, especially with the cities that we are introduced to. The sets for this is fantastic, especially the Witcher home, Kaer Morhen. I was really happy with what they did. The inside of it looks fantastic. I don't know if you've seen some of the behind the scenes, but there is this tree with the trailer. You will see how lavish it looks, but it also feels very lived in. There are some moments in this series that really shines, and that was taking me a bit aback, because I wasn't expecting to have this real tight-knit kind of family unit of the witches. That's not something you really get from the games, and even from the books a little bit. They've kind of made it feel more like what a real family would be. You know, what you do when your family's upset with you, when you bicker, when you have disagreements, but also the love and the bond that they share. That is all shown kind of with what like witches do, and in amongst the time spent at Kaer Morhen, there's obviously still storyline going on with that, and outside of that we have the politic or people groups that are, you know, not liked. In the games it was very much witches and supernatural beings like that, but this one they're really focusing on elves. I'm sure it will come round to that. Obviously our favorite characters are back. The bard is excellent. They've taken taken the characters from what we know and love and worked on them. For me, one of the standouts, surprisingly, is Geralt, because he speaks a lot more. Now, he's not doing massive monologue scenes, but he just speaks much more than he did in season 1. And there's a reason behind that. We still obviously get our grunts and, sort of winds howling moments, but I really feel like he's come to another stage of what Geralt of Rivia is for Henry Cavill's version of that, because obviously he's going to take inspiration from the books. He loves them and the games, but he needs to do something of its own. It's really hard to please everyone, but it feels like he is solidly in that character now. I don't see Henry, I see Geralt when he's playing that character, which I think in season 1 at times my mind was like, oh yeah, that's Henry playing Geralt, but now it feels much more like, oh, that's Geralt. He feels much more buff as well. Like, if that was possible, he's definitely even bulkier, although the movements and the fight sequences are very fluid as well. So there's that tight line of, yeah, he's really strong and ripped but can move. You see a lot of the powers that the witches are capable of, which I was really hoping that they would delve more into. That is something, if you were hoping, because you didn't see much of that in season 1, if you were hoping you're going to see that, you do. The monsters, again, are fantastic, and when I expected a certain monster group, not doing any spoilers, there were certain creatures like, yeah, that's very cool, and then they stepped it up another couple of notches, and I was like, wow, okay, they've really outdone themselves. There was this conversation I had with my wife when it was like, how is that a mask or is that CG? I can't tell. And it was like blending that realism to fantasy creature where we really had to look at it to see that it was like a little bit CG, a little bit mask, a little bit real, which I think is a fantastic thing when you're at that point in technology and practical use of effects that it's very hard to tell that it's not a real fantasy creature because those don't exist, right? Then they've done a really good job. It does leave me feeling like I want more, which is great. But I still had that feeling. Every episode I was really excited to watch, but also sad that it was coming to an end. That's a good thing, but it does feel like it's that middle part. I'm loving what they're doing with Ciri, relationship with her Kaer Morhen. If you've played the games, you kind of know where it's going. If you've read the books, you kind of know where it's going. But if you're coming to it afresh, you can imagine what it's going to have to happen, where it's left it at the end of season 1, what their journey is going to be. There's something to do with her, and the whole world is and story arc, the world arc is kind of created and centered around her, and all these people are being positioned in season 2. That is kind of what is happening. In amongst that, it's the relationships that make this series stand out. So the relationships of certain characters, and they have these like unique abilities, characteristics, clothing that define them, and they all do feel very defined. The score and the music also has interesting cues at certain characters. With episodes, I would say don't let Netflix push over to the next episode. If you can, listen to those credits, because you'll get some really interesting cues and scores. The score is something that is magnificent and kind of pulls you into the fantasy realm, which is exactly what it's meant to do. I thoroughly enjoyed it, but I'm still umming and ahhing about those last 2 episodes because I don't know how it's going to wrap up the story. It's pretty much impossible, which means they're going to set it up for what's to come for the next few seasons. Now, if anybody was worrying that Henry was not going to come back for a 3rd and 4th season, he's definitely signed on to those. They've scheduled or have enough story for up to at least 6 seasons, and Henry's definitely in the 3rd. He injured himself on the leg, and then someone said, oh, Matt Bomer's going to replace him. That's not true. He's definitely in it still as the lead, as Geralt, so don't worry about that. Let me know your thoughts below. How excited are you? I'm thoroughly entertained. I kind of want to watch it all again from beginning, including season 1. I would highly recommend that, and I think a lot of people are doing that. If you've noticed that The Witch has popped up in your top 10 Netflix, wherever you are in the world, that's because people are binge watching it again to kind of remind themselves, because it has been a while. Because of the stoppages, because of injury time for making season 2 and COVID, we had to wait a long time. And I'm hoping it's not going to be nearly as long as that for season 3, because you kind of do want to keep up with the momentum of what people are enjoying. If you have to make them wait a long time, similar to Stranger Things, then you have to kind of build up and remind people, oh yeah, this is why this series or film is great again. So let me know your thoughts on that below. Thanks so much for watching, but most of all, until next time, remember, live long and choose life.